This segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. Hello again, everyone, and I told you last week that we would come on and talk more about Jerry J. Larpenter, who served us as sheriff for quite some time. And I'm not sure if Jerry was the most interviewed here on HTV, but if not, he was certainly a close second. But the time I spent interviewing Jerry, and we'll show that later in this program, so stick around. But first of all, let me read the obit for you. It is with deep sorrow that we announce the passing of Jerry Joseph Larpenter, a beloved husband, father, grandfather, brother, and friend who left us on June 18th at the age of 71. Jerry was born on October 26 in Houma. Jerry dedicated his life to serving his community, culminating in an illustrious 30-year career as sheriff of Terrebonne Parish. His unwavering commitment and compassion for the residents of Terrebonne Parish left an indelible mark on the lives of many. Jerry was one of the exceptional ones who was an amazing rifleman and won many awards throughout the years. He also was a proud veteran of the United States Air Force, where he served honorably and carried the values of duty and service throughout his life. The warm familiarity of his presence was marked by genuine kindness. He was a man who never met a stranger and welcomed all with open arms. Known for his generous spirit, he often forged lifelong friendships, many of which would come to call him their best friend. Jerry's legacy of hard work, dedication, and kindness will continue to inspire those who knew him. Above all, Jerry was known to be a candid, compassionate, and outgoing man. His presence was a true gift to all, and he will be profoundly missed. In reflecting on his life, we remember a man who cherished time riding his motorcycle. We'll have more on that as we go. Enjoying the simple joys of fishing and hunting, and surrounded by the laughter of family and friends. A devoted family man, Jerry's heart was full of love for his wife of 24 years, Priscilla, his daughters, Lindsay Folse and husband Jared and Lacey Anderson, his stepchildren, Erica Bourgeois and Justin Bourgeois, and wife Elizabeth. Grandchildren, Leah, Malene, Brooklyn Williams, Lakin Williams, Luell Folse, Abigail, Anthony, Isaiah, and Benjamin Bourgeois. Jerry's siblings, Betty and husband Joe, Steve and wife Judy, Teresa Liner, Donald Larpenter and wife Cindy Larpenter, Florence Champagne and husband Jody Champagne, Florence Larpenter and wife Monica, Elizabeth Broussard and husband David Broussard. Of course, he was preceded in death by his parents, Aaron and Marie Larpenter, his siblings, Arlene Taylor, David Larpenter, Ronald Larpenter, and niece Amanda Larpenter. His funeral services will be held at St. Francis de Sales Cathedral on Saturday, June 28th. And of course, HTV will televise that, and we will have that on YouTube and also on Facebook. Of course, my early days of interviewing Jerry started actually before he was sheriff. And as you see on the screen now, these were the early days when he would take care of a lot of things. And we were at Southland Mall on that day, and we interviewed Jerry about an event that was taking place. Jerry was everywhere. That's why he was the heir apparent to be sheriff one day, and that lasted for 30 years. In my one-on-one with him, I talked about him growing up and just about life in general.
We didn't have these luxury things that kids have today. And of course, I think perhaps, and I'm glad that I was raised that way, not raised with a silver spoon or given everything. I never had my own room until I went into service. So even though through basic training, I was with probably 60 men. But I tell kids today that, kids today that have their own rooms, they complain to their parents that they don't have this, they don't have that, they don't have computers, they don't have a car, they don't have a driver's license. Well, I never owned one of them. I never had any of them until I went into service. And I never actually went to a school dance. So, I mean, if you never experience it, you don't miss it. So I didn't become a bad person, I think, because I didn't have nice things that my mother and father could give me. But I knew at an early age that they could only limit the things that I could receive. So anytime that my father, who again was a dragline operator, raised 12 kids, and all of my brothers and sisters are hard workers, we never had any subsidy. Nothing was subsidized as far as welfare or any special treatment that today they give, because we are a charitable country, and I think anybody, whether if you're poor or you can't afford things, there are people out there, groups, organizations that can help you today. But back then we didn't have anything. Like I said, I was the third boy, and I can remember when I went to school, we had holes in our blue jeans. Today, them blue jeans would sell for $80. I mean, kids love to wear blue jeans with holes in them, but that's just the way it was back then. They had iron-on patches that my mother had to do.
We also talked about the first day he put on a badge, and he talked about what that meant to him.
Basic training in the United States Air Force, and again, I applied for military police. And then I was able to become a military policeman after about 6 months of training, and it felt good. I mean, to me, it was a great feeling. But I knew at the time the reason I was there for. I mean, some people put on a badge and a gun, and they think they God gift to everything, and they think they know it all. And they forget that it's just like a title, a uniform. It doesn't make the person. The person has to make the title or the uniform. And I think that over the years, I enjoy helping people, and I think that's the most important thing that I come to realize, that there are people out there. And I like to tell my police officers that when you go to that person, think of it as you're going, hopefully you're going to your own family, that you want to help that person, and that you're there to give 100% of your time, and you're listening to that person so that you can maybe offer some advice or some assistance that person would remember you for the rest of their lives.
All right, we'll take a short break. More questions, more answers from just a larger-than-life sheriff, Terrebonne Parish, Jerry Larpenter, who passed away. We'll be right back. This segment was brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. And welcome back as we continue to remember Jerry Larpenter in a big way here on HTV. And as you've seen some of the footage we've been running, let's talk about Jerry's open door policy and, of course, his secretary, Donna. Let's listen in.
I've heard several people over the years say that they can call this office, you will pick up the phone, and you will talk to them. First of all, I commend you for that, because you do have an open door policy, but second, how do you do it?
You know, I guess I don't like to brag too much, Martin, but I like to think of myself as a people person. I like to stay on top of the office. I like to run the sheriff's office. I like to run all my departments. But what I've done, and the lady you talk to that usually answers this office, her name is Donna Blanchard. She is my secretary. And I'll tell you a story real quick about her. Well, overnight, when I found out I was going to be the sheriff, I happened to be at the bank, and she was working there, and I knew Donna because she worked for the district attorney before. And I told her I was the sheriff, and I was looking for a secretary, and she says, well, I'll do it. I said, you would? So I said, well, you got a job. You're my secretary. So from day one, Donna Blanchard has been my secretary. Now, if I had $1 for every time she answered the phone, I'd be a multi-millionaire today, because she answers the phones, I mean, thousands and thousands of calls a month. But she knows that I don't like to be called sheriff. All my employees know that, and I think the majority of people in this parish know that I don't like to be called sheriff. I like to be called Jerry.
And of course, as sheriff, there's good days and bad days. But what was one of the best days for the sheriff of Terrebonne Parish, Jerry Larpenter?
I'd say working on a project I think one of the better things of what I've done, well, besides so many, but I will say this. Working with, one of the best was working with Barry Bonvillain and the Council on Aging and creating a kitchen upstairs, and we've been nationally recognized. And we cooked 700-800 meals for the elderly people in this parish, who probably, we're cooking for somewhere around, we're cooking probably more than double the meals that they had before. And then Martin, you went on Meals on Wheels, and you went and see how people who worked all their lives and living on $300, $400 a month, living alone, 80 and 90 years old, and probably if it wouldn't have been for the program, we probably wouldn't have had, these people wouldn't have meals today. Of course, our Council on Aging has really come a long way in the parish. Right. And the public supported them by passing a tax for them. But before the tax, we started cooking meals at a much cheaper rate, utilizing our inmates. Mm-hmm. And with Barry Bonvillain and myself and the council, he bought all the equipment upstairs to implement a kitchen on top of the courthouse here. And I hired a supervisor and supervises inmates every day to cook 700-800 meals for the elderly in the parish. Right. That's just one of the programs that we've done, and I'm very proud of to give something back. When you go and see some of the elderly people, especially in the summertime, they don't have air conditioning, or they may have air conditioning in one room out of 5 rooms in their houses because they can't afford the electric bill. They live on $300, $400, $500 a month. Right. It's sad, really is sad, And that's one of the programs I think that we're going to continue doing it, and hopefully expand it in the future.
And of course, like I said, there are bad days when you're sheriff. We talked about the Chad Louvier situation, and that was a day that Jerry Larpenter will never forget.
The worst day by far was the incident at the bank. Right. By far. Right. And I think that when you look at it, your heart goes out to the not only the victims but their family. And actually to the suspect's family to some degree. I mean, that they had, I don't think they had any knowledge either that this individual would do that.
How did you get through those days? I remember seeing you and talking to you during those days, and your compassion was evident, and your thoughts immediately went to the victims' families and to all the families affected. But how did you really get through those days?
Oh, it was difficult. You don't ever get through them. Even though I'm not related to any of the people, even though this individual worked here, it's a tragedy with not only every individual in the sheriff's office, but every police officer that wears a badge. It's a tarnish. It's a tarnish on them.
And how about all the storms where we rode with Jerry? How many times was I in a deuce and a half with Jerry, or a unit with Jerry, as we went to Prevost Cemetery and helped put some of the loved ones back into their proper resting place, and all the different rides we made with the sheriff as he was so accessible.
Everybody out here is either my employees or, an inmate who's graciously volunteering to help clean up this cemetery. They finished 2 others, I don't know if you know that. There's one in Bobtown and just one south of the Cumbon Bridge. There was 12 actual graves that they placed back in this morning. As you can see now, what we're doing, we graciously obtained some equipment from some people, everybody in Terrebonne Parish. We did get a lot of response, Martin, thanks to you. I got a sign over there I wanted to show our contributors, so hopefully I want you to show the contributors of Terrebonne Parish, these companies that came forward, let us use their equipment. And of course, we got some deputies, but we also got some heavy equipment operators, they're out there using this equipment and putting these tombs back in place.
I see the Planet Truck Line. I know you had Redfish Rental. Who else is out?
Redfish Rental, Gator Rentals, Mr. Tommy Parkhill. We have so many people that actually loan us the equipment. The Planets is coming in. They're going to supply a driver because it's an exceptionally long boom that we have to get to the middle and place these tombs way back in the middle where this excavator won't quite reach. But as you can see, if you look at the film we shot, I think you shot last Thursday and Friday, We had to get him here with a dozer, and of course we cut all these trees along on the outer perimeter, like we mentioned last week. We had a dozer that we cleaned out that lot next to it south of us. There's 12 tombs actually sitting on the lots that we're going to have to place back in their original grave sites.
We'll take a short break. We'll be back with another segment remembering former Sheriff Jerry Larpenter. This segment was brought to you by Cypress Stop, home of the happy customer. And of course, one of the bigger moments we had here at HTV that involved the sheriff, he was in the front of it all, was the synthetic marijuana, bath salts that were being sold here in the parish. And we can recall Jerry was so candid on where the monies were going and what was taking place in good old Terrebonne.
And I appreciate you informing the public actually what really happens in Terrebonne Parish and put out the truth about everything that people can understand and adhere to. And yes, we still have a drug problem, and I'm glad to be here tonight to talk about it.
You know, and that's one of the things I try to tell the people. There's so much misinformation, and people don't want to believe. When we started doing the roundups with you on filming way back, and even in 2009, people would not believe that we had monies, and you documented it many times and said it, that monies were leaving Terrebonne Parish and going to countries that were terror states. They were already on the national list. Had several busts that day. I think I was in a vehicle with you, and we watched over 100 people go into a store to buy synthetic marijuana. I think it was just a 1 or 2 hour time we were in that car.
We were actually waiting for the main individual to bring the drugs from New Orleans. He was resupplying these stores, and of course, while we were waiting there for 1 hour, 100 young people came there to purchase what they called it back then, either K2, K3, or Kush, synthetic, which is actually a potpourri type substance with chemicals, poison sprayed on it. These chemicals initiated in Germany, and of course it was spread across from China, and then even a chemist from America actually developed some of this type poison, and it sprayed on this potpourri, and then our kids were using it.
Why it was so hard for them to grasp that all this was taking place and that monies were leaving the country? Was that so far-fetched that they just couldn't wrap around that idea that monies were leaving and going to Yemen and other places?
It's called denial, and it's also called social media. You know, we had intel information. We work. I've been having 2 individuals assigned to DEA for the last 20 years. You know, we get good intel information from our federal partners, whether it's DEA, ATF, FBI, U.S. Customs. You know, we like to share our information and also share with the public. But for some reason, you can see what's going on now in America. There's so much drug coming from across the border that half of the country don't believe it.
And you heard in the obit where Jerry loved motorcycles, where one of the local shops wanted Jerry to sort of pitch one of their motorcycles, and Jerry was more than happy to do so. And we actually made a commercial on it. Let's roll it in.
How about this 2008 B King?
This one looks a little too sleek for me.
How about the 2008 C90T with the touring package?
Don't need to show me this one. Got one just like it.
What about the 2008 M109?
Gorgeous bike, just not quite my color.
All right, 2008 GSXR 1000?
Oh my, this one looks a little too fast for me.
All right, let me know.
John, I was afraid you were gonna do that to me.
Oh, Jerry! Look at your helmet. Oh, thank you, John. Thank you.
Jerry!
I would have never thought Jerry could drive like that.
Woo, John, I'll take this one.
Well, there you have it. Our friend Jerry J. Larpenter. We have so much footage, and I'm sure we'll be running a lot of footage as we make our way through this week. And also on Saturday, with permission from the family, we've asked them for permission to televise his funeral at St. Francis. We'll be interviewing people as they come in, dignitaries or friends that will share stories about Jerry's life. He was larger than life. He was loved by many, many people. Once again, our condolences go to the entire family, his wife Priscilla, and everyone whose lives he touched over the years. May Jerry rest in peace. This segment was brought to you by Rouse's Markets. Feels like home.